Tom, let me turn to you here because there had been some discussion, and I'm looking sort of through what we have seen from other reporters in the courtroom as well, right, that the declassification issue, as Vaughn has laid out, had come up, right? And we've talked about this here even just this afternoon. The idea that while the former president and his allies have said publicly he declassified some of this material we're talking about, his attorneys have not said it where it counts, in a court, right, or in court filings. They're refusing to say that. And the judge seemed to have some questions about that piece of it today.
Right. And I think one of the things, based on the various reports we've seen from the Eastern District in-house reporters, Hallie, is that the judge brought up and said, look, this is, as far as I'm concerned, it's not up to me to determine, the judge saying this, it's not up for me to determine whether or not these documents are classified. That's something that's held in the executive branch. I'm in the judicial branch. And so when I look at this, I see that the government has on these documents, it says it's top secret. It says it's top secret with all sorts of markings on it, which indicates it's at some of the highest levels that the U.S. has as far as classification. Who am I to dispute that? If you all aren't going to enter the fight on this and make your own assertions as to what could be declassified or not, I'm just going to go with it and say it's a classified document because I'm not in a position to argue against it. That seems to be the genesis, and I'm waiting on a transcript. And as I mentioned to you last hour, we weren't able to hear the hearing because of some audio difficulties on the phone with the court. But it appears to be that that's kind of the core of that argument that's presented here. We do anticipate getting a scheduling order perhaps later today, which will provide a little bit more of a tick-tock, Hallie, as far as how are things going to proceed. And, of course, all of this could be controlled by the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals, which still needs to determine whether or not the special master's review of this and more importantly, whether or not federal prosecutors can continue looking at the documents seized from Mar-a-Lago to determine whether or not there's been any threats to national security and use them in their investigation. The 11th Circuit Court of Appeals could come in and kind of Bigfoot this whole process. So still waiting on some of that to be figured out, still waiting on the scheduling order from the special master. But it appears that the trend, at least at this point, and at least based on what we know from the court proceedings so far, this may be further clarified in transcripts, that it appears that the judge is just going to go forward with whatever the government says is classified because that's held outside of the judicial branch. Allie?